Now, this creates a special problem, particularly in Colombia, where I understand there are 4 million people who have been displaced internally, which I believe makes Colombia the second worst area for displaced persons after Sudan. So it seems to me that if you give corporations powers to sue the state, but you don't give workers and trade unions the opportunity to have similar powers, then this internal displacement will only be exacerbated. Is that true?
Sí, es cierto. Es cierto, desafortunadamente Colombia es el segundo país donde mayor desplazados hay y el primer país donde más sindicalistas se asesinan. Y es verdad, donde se este tratado de libre comercio se va a desplazar muchísima más gente porque Colombia es un país subdesarrollado. Entonces, ¿qué sería lo que puede ofrecer? Recursos primarios. Entonces, las empresas irían detrás de la tierra que es de los campesinos, que es de los indígenas y de las comunidades afros. Estas comunidades andan totalmente desprotegidas. Lo que ha ocurrido ya con algunas multinacionales, que está probado, como Chiquita Brands, es que han pagado a paramilitares para que asesinen a personas y para que creen terror y desplacen y luego se queden con la tierra.
Yes, it's true. Colombia is the second country in terms of internally displaced population and the country with the largest number of unionists being killed. I think that the FTA would increase displacement because Colombia is an underdeveloped country. So what the companies come to our country to do is to take our primary resources, and this affects the Afro-Colombian and the indigenous peoples' populations. We have already had the cases of large multinationals such as Chiquita Brands, which have paid the paramilitary to kill peasants and other inhabitants in the areas where they're working, and they see themselves, their families see themselves forced to move to other places and become displaced.
Can you comment on the Uribe regime and its ties to the paramilitary organizations and the chilling effect of recent government actions on democracy and on efforts to organize unions, etc.?
Sobre la democracia, en este momento se ve tambaleando ese Estado social de derecho que tenemos en nuestra Constitución. Ya el presidente la quiere reformar por segunda vez para lanzarse él como presidente por tercera vez, lo cual se constituiría en una dictadura. Las diferentes organizaciones hemos intentado frenar un poco que se constituya esta dictadura, pero nos ha sido muy difícil porque constantemente vivimos siendo perseguidos, estigmatizados, nos asesinan. El mismo presidente nos ha estigmatizado cuando a nosotros, los defensores de derechos humanos, él sale en público a decirnos que nosotros somos terroristas. Entonces, ese Estado democrático que está escrito en nuestra Constitución, en la práctica, en lo real, no se está llevando a cabo. El Parlamento, por ejemplo, más del 30% de parlamentarios están siendo investigados por ser paramilitares. Y el jefe, por ejemplo, del Departamento de Seguridad, el anterior director, Jorge Noguera, igualmente está preso por ser paramilitar.
Yes, our democracy is actually being weakened. We no longer have the social rule of law that we had before. Our president is trying to run for president for the third time, and this would mean that it would become a dictatorship. We have worked very hard so as to bring this process to a halt, but it has been very difficult. We, the unionists, as well as many other human rights defenders, are prosecuted and stigmatized. The president himself has come out publicly and has said that we, the unionists, are terrorists or anybody who tries to defend human rights. So all of these rights that make part of the Colombian political constitution, of our own Charter of Rights, no longer are being respected. 30% of our parliamentarians are being investigated. They have been accused of belonging to the paramilitary or controlling the paramilitary. And we also have the director of the National Security Department, Jorge Noguera, who has also been accused of having strong links with the paramilitary.
I note that George Bush, the former president of the United States, was very keen on this free trade agreement, and that the current president, President Obama, and his administration are taking a much more of a go-slow approach and would like to see more improvements in human rights before entering into an agreement. Do you think there's a message for Canada in that new approach by the Obama administration?
Claro. Hay un fuerte mensaje y es el mensaje precisamente de que con Colombia las relaciones, hay que tener mucho cuidado esas relaciones que se dan con Colombia, porque es que en el medio de esas negociaciones se está jugando la vida de varios colombianos y realmente la situación de derechos humanos en Colombia es crítica. El mensaje que yo le doy a todos los canadienses es que miren a fondo, que estudien a fondo y se darán cuenta que lo que yo estoy diciendo es verdad. La situación de violación de derechos humanos en Colombia es totalmente alarmante.
Yes, of course. I think that's a very strong message which we should actually take into consideration very seriously. I would warn anybody trying to deal with Colombia and to be very careful when dealing with Colombia, because at the very heart of these negotiations are the lives of Colombians which are at stake. And the message that I would like to bring to all Canadians is that they should look deeper into this agreement and the consequences that it may have before they go ahead and approve it. Because I think that the human rights situation in Colombia is truly alarming today.
Yessika, I know you have to leave and go meet with the Liberal trade critic, Scott Bryson, and I want to thank you for talking to us today.
No, muchas gracias a ustedes por toda la solidaridad que nos están prestando. Para nosotros es muy importante.
Thank you for your solidarity. That's very important for us to count on your solidarity.
I'm Karl Pruner for the Straight Goods News.